You now have to file past giant plastic barricades full of water at Hong Kong International. Security beefed up to keep protesters out. An airport which normally handles more than 1,000 flights every day, back in business after 48 hours of chaos in which all outbound flights were cancelled. Rewind to Tuesday night and departures was a war zone. Black shirt anti-Beijing protesters locked in battle with riot police, one of whom pulled a gun after he'd been set upon. A journalist with a Chinese state-owned newspaper suspected of being a police spy, first humiliated, then savagely beaten inside the terminal. It felt like a benchmark moment in Hong Kong's long, hot summer of discontent. There is genuine shock here over the escalating violence, Beijing branding it close to terrorism. In London, China's ambassador lashed out at what they call foreign black hands for inciting revolt.
Stop interfering in China's internal affairs. Stop conniving in violent offences. They should not misjudge the situation and go down the wrong path. Otherwise, they will lift the stone only to drop it on their own feet.
Critics of China's authoritarian government say Beijing would be shooting itself in the foot if it ordered these paramilitary forces into Hong Kong to restore law and order. They're massed just over the border in Shenzhen, and Chinese state TV aired this footage of an anti-riot drill in Shenzhen involving 12,000 police. It's not even a veiled threat.
People in America remember Tiananmen Square. They remember the picture of the man standing in front of the line of tanks. They remember the statue of Lady Liberty. They remember voices of the Chinese people asking for freedom and democracy, and they remember the repression of the Chinese government in 1989. It would be a big mistake to create a new memory like that in Hong Kong.
President Trump then weighed in on Twitter. Having last met his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in June, he suggested President Xi should meet the Hong Kong protesters in person. In an earlier tweet, he'd said that if President Xi wants to quickly and humanely solve the Hong Kong problem, he can do it. Throughout the 10 weeks of increasingly violent protests and the zero-tolerance police response, the silence from the White House has been deafening. Apart from referring to the protests as riots, a term straight out of Beijing's own lexicon, President Trump hasn't actually shown much interest in what's happening here in Hong Kong. Now, though, by linking a humane resolution here to a peace deal in his trade war with China, the president, well, he almost sounds humanitarian.
Well, of course, I welcome Mr. Trump's concern. I think the word humane is probably a correct word, because we are looking at a lot of inhumane measures and police brutality and even violence instigated by the thugs and the triads. So that, I think, is welcome.
Today's full moon marks the festival of the hungry ghosts, when Taoists and Buddhists believe the restless spirits of the dead roam the earth. Today, the ghosts of the unknown thousands killed in Tiananmen Square 30 years ago haunt Hong Kong. But Beijing knows that to do that again would be lunacy.